Hello and welcome to Eat Sleep Code, the official Telerik podcast. I'm your host, Ed Charbeneau, and with me is my co-host, John Bristowe. How are you doing today, John?
I'm well. I hope everyone out there is doing well as well.
Some .NET news this week.
Yes.
I don't know if you saw that .NET 9 Preview 6 is out.
I did.
So the previews are shipping about monthly now. They're heading into the final stretches already, believe it or not.
Yep.
So I was talking to Maddie from the .NET team, and we were talking about how they're shipping .NET 9 in November, and it's like it's only a couple months away now. Seems like we're just at preview 1. Now we're at preview 6.
Yep.
And it's moving along quickly.
It is. It is. Is there a feature that you're looking forward to, or is there something that you want that's in .NET 9?
I don't have anything particular that I've picked out yet, but it's exciting to see that they are working hard on moving the framework forward, or the ecosystem forward. We do have some new things. I mentioned last week with .NET MAUI that got released.
Yep.
So there's the interop bits I talked about. So that was pretty exciting. I think Blazor's in kind of a maintenance mode, or bug fix mode this time around.
Okay.
It got so many feature updates in the last release. And I think it's good that there's a pause, right? So that maybe that's the thing to look forward to, is that there's not like all of these breaking changes and new things coming our way to change the way we do things. So there are updates coming, but they're more slight enhancements rather than like totally changing the framework. One of the things that's really nice is they added in .NET 8, the ability to do server rendering, WebAssembly, and server-side static rendering. So you're not like doing any WebAssembly or server interactivity. You can just render streams of HTML out. And they're making it easier to choose between those modes in .NET 8 or .NET 9. So we went from you have to choose mode A or choose mode B to, well, now everything's server and you get to mix in your interactivity bits, to maybe I want my whole website to be interactive and I can just sprinkle in the static rendering bits, which I think is more plausible of a kind of a go-to feature that everybody's going to need.
Right.
I don't think there's a lot of static rendering going on these days. People expect to interact with their websites.
Well, so maybe in your world there isn't.
Being able to piecemeal in the static bits, I think, is a better approach for most people. So that's coming. That's exciting news. So there's a big laundry list post up on the .NET blogs. If you want to check it out and see what all of the new bits are. We've got some new C# features that we talked about as well. So there, some of that will be in here too. So what's new in C# 13? I think we talked a little bit about this before, but
yeah, partial properties.
Yeah, partial properties, indexing arrays, and all of that. I could have used this today. I wanted to use the last operator, but it wasn't available yet.
Isn't that a colon? Isn't that a colon?
Where?
There's a colon operator, isn't there, for indexing?
Is there? For indexing the last item of an array?
Not the last item, but there's a colon operator C#. Hang on. I know that. I'm just trying to see for indexing. Maybe I read this somewhere else. How to index with colon. Oh, good. Stack Overflow, just what I wanted. Oh, I'm thinking of a range operator. Yeah. That's
Yeah, there's some range operators and whatnot, but there's an implicit from the end caret operator that I so badly wanted to use today.
It's the hat symbol.
Yeah, it would have wiped out a ton of code, and can't do it yet. So stuff is on the way, John. It's shipping. Check out the latest bits.
Yeah, the one that I'm looking forward to the most is in the .NET runtime itself. There's a feature called attribute trimming. So the idea is that with attribute trimming, this is in the .NET runtime, so it's not part of it. It's part of the .NET runtime itself. So if
Okay.
you go to what's new in .NET 9, and then you do so the attribute model for feature switches right there. That's it. So feature switches, basically, if you go to that, I think there's a code sample there. So the idea is that when you write libraries, you can do a query for certain features to exist. And so that's the GitHub definition. But if you take a look at, so so basically you can query to see, does a feature exist? And if it does, use it. Otherwise, what will happen is the compilation aspect won't take place. You won't see that feature implemented in the runtime. Meaning, at runtime, you won't see that feature. It will slim down your libraries essentially for doing that.
So. Yeah, so if it's not supported, then why bother including the runtime for it?
That's right. Well, not the runtime, but your library, basically.
The code, the library for that. Nice. We got some Visual Studio updates as well. Making Visual
Mads
Studio
put a post here that is
visual.
So Mads put a post here that says, we're working with an extension here that we'd like some community feedback on, which is basically if you hover over a URL and it's an image, display it inline. And so they're looking for feedback on that. So this is like a sort of community experiment, whatever you want to call it. So the idea is you can hover over now a URL and get the preview of it.
I feel like we had this in CSS before, HTML before. One of the editors had a...
You'd get a color palette in some cases. It depends. It's contextual in a lot of cases. So you might get, various highlights and things like that. But that's the example now. So I know it seems trivial, but, it's nice.
I feel like we've had this in a limited capacity somewhere before. Like with some of Mad's web essentials back in the day.
That's right.
One of those had it, I think. I don't know if you've noticed this, or if you're using Visual Studio Preview Daily. They have started, just barely started. And I've seen this coming for quite some time, so it's not surprising. But I think they've started to migrate some of the Visual Studio Code features into Visual Studio.
Oh, that wouldn't be surprising.
And I noticed one of the hotkeys for commenting and uncommenting code is the same now.
Control K, Control C.
Yeah, that's the Visual Studio version of it. The more intuitive Visual Studio Code shortcut is Control and the / character that you'd use to make a comment.
Yep.
So I accidentally hit it, having a little muscle memory from using Visual Studio Code like earlier that day. And I was like, whoa, that worked. Why did that work? I was like, oh, I'm in preview. I wonder where that change was listed, because I don't have a plugin or anything for that.
You could probably put those key bindings in even without the preview.
You probably can. You can probably switch the key bindings up however you like, but it looks like they migrated that one over. And then, and also noticed when you're doing async await in preview, like if you're in a method and you type in await, it will move your cursor to the top of the function and do the async up there, so you don't have to remember to type it, because there's always like the little warning or error that you get. So they're working on that stuff too. New Visual Studio benefits, huh? 3 new premium Visual Studio subscriber benefits announced. I have not heard about this.
So, Visual Studios has always been, the subscription pattern for this has been around for a very, very long time. And there's always been benefits that have come and gone. These are a series of training benefits that Microsoft has added now to for Visual Studio subscribers. So now you'll find in your subscriptions paying access to training. There's if you scroll down, you'll see it. There's now the ability to access, I can't remember the name. There it is. Dom Train Pro, full access to premium courses, training by Tim Corey via the DevPass Business Edition, and then subscriber discounts for VS Live events. So these are new subscriptions that are available, or new features that are available through your subscription levels. Yeah.
I did not know about that. And then I could see VS Code or Code Magazine in there somewhere. I don't know why it's not.
I don't
It's
know if
not
that was
mentioned in
intentional or
here,
not.
but
Yeah.
yeah, it's like
Yeah.
they blurred that out for some reason. Code Magazine, so it's still a good read. I know some of the authors for that.
Funny story about that. When I back in the day when kids watching this, there was these things called print magazines. I used to buy MSDN. I used to buy MSDN magazine. It retails for approximately $4 US. I think it was back in the day.
Oh yeah, back in the day. Yeah.
In 1999, I remember buying a copy of it. It was $21 Australian. So yeah,
$21 Australian for subscription or
in
one
99.
magazine.
In 99. Oh, no wonder you like the magazine. There, look at that.
I mean,
From flat to fantastic.
I don't remember if I brought this up last show, but there's
Oh,
this
no. Oh, funny
really,
about that. Oh, look at that.
there's this really in-depth article in this month's Code Magazine, which inspired
It's not even Ed Charbeneau. It's Edward Charbeneau.
It inspired the cover, by the way.
Oh, look at this. God, if I did not tee you up this I did unknowing to me, I didn't know this, but man, what a softball I just threw you.
Yeah, so it's the cover of the magazine.
No big deal.
You keep saying like, VR's
deal.
whatever, and nobody
That's
wants
right.
to hear about it. Yeah, it's only the cover of the magazine, John.
Yeah,
But talk about how the landscape of what we use for dev devices is changing. So I use my VR headset quite often to actually just work. So I get into like what the difference is between different head-mounted displays, what exactly is a flat application. It's kind of just a nickname we gave 2D apps on the 3D device. And then showed some examples of how your workflow is, and then go into like what dev tools are available, how you can deploy apps to your Oculus Quest, how .NET can write apps for the Oculus Quest, a little bit about the browser that's built in and what you can do with it. .NET MAUI runs there. It's a whole read, John. It's about
it definitely is.
I think it was like 7,500 words.
Are you trying to kill them with words, Ed? Is that your goal?
I mean, it's a big subject. You gotta go through all the details. I don't want to leave any stones unturned.
I feel like we need a phrase kind of like, flat on the screen, spatial with the headset, sort of like party, business in the front, party in the back,
I even went into the details of, XR versus spatial, because Apple had to come out with their quote spatial computing device.
Sure.
It's a bit ridiculous with the jargon they come up with. But
you think Apple's marketing can be ridiculous from time to time? Let me tell you a few stories.
We beat this up so bad last week.
Yeah.
So I actually went back and did a little research on that and wrote a small excerpt and put it in here. So like the origins of mixed reality, augmented reality, spatial computing, extended reality. Kind of wrote a little segment about that too, if you're interested. So it goes in pretty deep. It's a deep dive, and it touches all the different talking points of why you might want to do this, why somebody else might be enticed to do it, and actually how you build an app to run and deploy on the device very quickly and easily with .NET.
I'm really disappointed they didn't take the opportunity to have the guy surfing the wave with a headset.
I thought, they told me that it was going to be the cover, and I was expecting a little more VR on the cover, but
yeah,
I don't mind the shout out here at the beginning either.
Right.
So, yeah, it's a nice read. Make sure you check it out. And speaking of Maui, Sands of Maui, issue 151. I could have got an even number for us last week, John, but I missed the boat.
Congrats to Sam.
Congrats to Sam. Sam's been doing this weekly for the last 151 weeks. This is called Sands of Maui. It's up on telerik.com/blogs. And it's the Maui version of our show in a written format is the way to look at it. He goes into .NET 9 release because, they're going to be expanding on Maui and .NET 9. The Maui Reactor. They were talking about this on the community stand-up. This is a fitness app that you can grab the source code for. It's pretty neat. So it's got like your different timers for your interval training type of exercises. Barcode scanning with I wanted to call it Xamarin. Sam would be
Nice.
so mad probably if he heard me call it Xamarin. It's not Xamarin anymore, is it? It is Maui. So how to do that? And if you're inclined to style your stuff with CSS, there is an article about styling with Blazor, and of course Blazor runs on Maui now, so that could be super helpful. So it's always a good read with Sam. Make sure you check that out. You get kind of all the talking points for the week on the Maui platform.
Lovely.
And if you're on the other side of the coin and you're doing the JavaScripty stuff, I caught this link just before the show. There was a conference called dotJS.
Yeah, it's been around for a while.
Yeah, they just published their sessions up on YouTube. So you could find that up on YouTube.js 2024. Looks like there's a lot of good sessions here.
Wait a minute, folks, I got that Mario Kart 3 JS would be right on my first to watch, number 7. That one looks pretty cool.
Mario Kart 3 JS pushing the limits of JavaScript together.
Yeah.
Gotta love that.
I would imagine they implemented Mario Kart in some kind of
How is this 4 minutes though? Just skip. 4 minutes.
It's not hard. Just skip. There you go.
This is like lightning talks or what?
I don't know. Maybe they got a demo somewhere or something. You know, knowing they probably started off with a demo. Hopefully. Oh, there you go. So this is in JavaScript. There you go.
Interesting. I have to go back and look at it.
The real hero here is is either WebGL or some variant thereof that uses the GPU.
Yeah, this must be like an emulator or something, right?
Unless
somebody rebuilt all of these assets in the game itself, that would be crazy.
But those you just pull out, and then from there it's just the 3-dimensional model. So
interesting. I wonder if that's the whole session or just highlights or what. That's
don't know.
It's only a few minutes there, but I just caught this. I didn't have a chance to look at all of it yet. So, it is up there. Like some of them are 20 minutes long, so some are shorter. There might be some lightning talks in there, but good stuff there. Especially if you're in the JavaScript world, you might recognize some of these folks as well. Like, let's see, I've run into James Quick before. Do you know James? He used to work at Microsoft, right?
Don't know.
All right. Speaking of work, the rise and fall of software developer jobs. This was actually a very quick read. It's a little business editorial post on Axios.
What does the y-axis in that chart refer to?
This is...
Oh, that must be like a sat number of some type, like out of 100. Like if it goes well above, then there's a high demand, sort of thing. So 100 being the baseline is what I'm guessing.
Yeah. So there's increasing demand versus decreasing.
Yeah.
So this it's actually pretty short, but we can even summarize a little bit more. They were saying, basically during COVID, there was
totally skyrocketed.
It just went nuts with people hiring developers to try to solve problems due to COVID and other reasons. And they're saying that it's not AI that's driving the numbers down because it's already... If you look at the slope of this decline, it was already on that slope before the ChatGPT was really introduced.
In actual fact, AI developers are probably the most in-demand developers right now. So data scientists and AI people, I've heard numbers as high as 800,000 people are making in the U.S. for AI.
And then another interesting point to the data they looked at was the jobs that are out there pay very well compared to other jobs in the job market. So I just thought that was a nice way to transition into some of the other stuff we're going to talk about.
It's not lost on me, Ed, that I caught briefly there. You scroll down, the next thing that's mentioned is Amazon, which, sorry. Yeah. So it's not lost on me, but there you go. Anyways, sorry.
So
Just
I thought that was a nice way to talk about
oh geez.
the job market some more. Did you catch this one, John? This is
No, what is this?
fake job interviews trick developers into installing Python Trojan.
Oh God, what?
So there was kind of this phishing attempt where they would look for people that were trying to get jobs in Python development, and they would kind of conduct these fake interviews. And then amidst the interview, they would tell them to download some code, here, take this challenge type of a thing.
Yeah.
Go clone this stuff off GitHub. And then inside of the code was like a data URI with some malicious code
Yeah.
in it that would then download and inject some Python scripts that they would run, and it would start
But what would it
doing
do?
a rat attack. So it was
Oh, so you
going
can
through
control the
and
remote. Okay.
yeah, it was
This seems awfully
collecting data off their
Yeah,
machines
but
as
this seems
well.
like why would a organization go through the trouble of doing it this way? That doesn't seem like, yes, I'm going to target these people looking for jobs, like not only a niche market, software developers, like super niche, but
Hmm.
by the looks of it, it's like this is the second interview or something. It's like you can think of a better like, yeah, kudos to them, I guess, for going after that. But it's like, wow, like is it a way to weed out people who would become susceptible to this? I don't know. Like it just
Maybe
seems like a
it was
really
a
weird, like,
targeting thing.
yeah, but it seems like a weird target. Like, why would you go after software developers in particular? And why would you make it part of a job interview? It seems like such a small segment of the
Yeah.
population.
I think
Yeah,
it's a good
whatever.
question, though. I mean, maybe that's the thing. They were looking for
Well,
people that are
part of
working
me,
in tech
yeah,
and
but part
maybe
of me
have
can't help but
access to.
yeah, but if this is a legitimate job interview, part of me can't help but think that this code was injected in it, like not inadvertently not by the company, but by some nefarious person. They just found a repo that was open that was used in these interviews, and they just threw the code in there. I don't know. It's weird.
Yeah, it is kind of strange. I thought it was interesting anyway. But speaking of Node.js, Node.js 22 came out. I didn't
Yeah.
put the link in the notes here because honestly, it was a lot of like bug fixes and things. So
Okay.
there wasn't any real meat to it, but it is worth a mention that the new release is out if you want to go grab that. And then
Sorry, that's just such a niche
it
target.
was it is a very odd one though, like, and very disappointing too. Like you're like, oh great, now I have a virus, but like now I'm not even interviewing for a job. Like I got
Yeah.
fished and catfished on the job too. That's a double whammy. Um, Lessons I learned in 35 years of making software.
Yeah.
Lesson
So this is
number
a
one
post.
during job interviews. No, go ahead, John.
Just gonna say this is from Jim Gray, who's been in the industry since I think '89 or so. Has been in the industry for a long time, and came up with this interesting blog post about what his recollection of and his insights and observations of what it takes to be a successful developer in this industry. And so, go ahead, Ed. Let's go through the list.
All right. Doing things in the most straightforward way possible.
Another way of
This is so
saying it
not
is
me.
don't build a framework. Don't just stick to the role. Just implement the task at hand. Don't come up with an elaborate solution. You know.
I don't know if you remember the old show, Malcolm in the Middle.
Yeah.
You remember that? And
Yeah. The
like
yak shaving episode
Bryan Cranston, like it starts
goes
off
to
the
change the
episode.
light bulb. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's me every time. Like that's
Yeah.
totally me.
Yep.
There's no substitute for working software in production.
Yeah, the bugs that you can and the bugs that you
Oh, okay.
try to replicate in development or staging are nowhere near as interesting or as elaborate as they are in
Hmm.
production. When you get users banging away at your application, it's amazing what they do. Now, you may be wondering like, well, how do I, I'm worried about testing features in production, which is a thing, right? A lot of people do that. You can use things like feature flags. So feature
I mean,
flags allow you to turn
I
what's
edit
that?
code in production, so
That's right. It compiles. All right, let's go. Yeah, so working software in production, this is more along the lines of, and there's a tool you can use to do this. It's called Octopus Deploy. You know, you can use a continuous delivery strategy and use a deployment tool to do this. But the idea is that you would complement that through a feature flag capability, so you can turn these things on and off quickly. So that, you know, if you find that there's a problem, people are possibly exploiting it, not say, but like maybe it's causing a catastrophic failure in your logic or something. There's no substitute for this, because the types of issues, network latency, screen resolutions, weird input. Oh, I don't have JavaScript turned on, or, you know, things like that. It's just, you know, the things that you will never think of.
This next one, relationships matter if you want to advance. Now, I have a saying, you know, the old saying, it's not what you know, it's who you know. I say it's not what you know, it's who knows what you know. Think about that one.
Sure. It's very true. Very true.
Exactly. If you don't share your work and you don't network with people at work, then nobody knows. You know, if you've dark matter developer sitting in a corner writing code and nobody
Yep.
knows about it, they're just like, the thing works, but you know,
Yeah, I think
that's where like meetups and
yeah.
conferences and things like that can help. You know, get out
But
there.
also,
and
it's
talk.
important. Like, I think it's important for especially developer types, because you and I are developers and we get this, right? It's not in our natural inclination to have conversations with people or to go out of our way to initiate conversations. And so what I mean by that is, one of the things that I do is I have one-on-ones with people on a monthly basis that I would never talk to because they're not on my team, but I know that I want to get a sense of what's happening within the company, or I want to get a sense of, you know, what projects are coming, or I want to let them know, like, here's the stuff that we're working on, and I know that you're going to be an interested party down the line. You know, these things matter, especially when you think about things like, you know, if you allow yourself the opportunity to talk to people about the things you're working on, what that does is it helps you in the future when, say, those people go into what we call a steel cage death match. Like, that's another term for budgeting. So let's say 2025 is coming around, Telerik's doing its budget for your team, Ed, and you know, they're thinking, you know, maybe we'll hire another person to help us do a podcast, like another Eat Sleep Code 2, for example. Well, how successful? Like, I don't know anything about Eat Sleep Code, because I hear that it's successful, but I don't hear from Ed. But if in the meantime, as an alternative, let's say that you were talking to other folks within Telerik about Eat Sleep Code, for example, and they really got jazzed about it and they're watching episodes and stuff, chances that they're going to promote your budget request is higher because you're talking to them, for example. That's just a contrived example, but you get my point, which is you want to go out of your way to reach out to folks and let them know what you're doing, but also to get feedback on what they're doing, you know, and to give feedback and receive feedback.
If you don't want to get replaced by AI, then
that's not what I'm saying.
I know, I'm teasing.
Another
Good one. Yeah, another good one is stand-ups. Like, if you have stand-ups at work,
Sure.
you know, volunteer to be a voice for one of those.
That's
always
another one.
as well.
That's more inside the team, though. What I'm saying here is, like, you know, there may be let's say there's someone inside sales that you should be talking to, and let the head of sales, for example, letting them know, hey, we're shipping a new feature next month, and, you know, it's time for your customers to get excited about it. Or talking to the folks in marketing, or talking to folks in R&D, or talking to folks in, you know, legal, for example, having one-on-ones with, even if it's once a quarter, you know, it's important to have those relationships.
I think this one's more of the same.
Yeah.
It's just putting it in another context. Like, if you want your, you know, if you see something in your product that you want improved, you have to know the right folks to kind of push that issue to make it happen. So it's not always just throwing an issue on GitHub. It may be, you know, you need to talk to the program manager, or maybe somebody in marketing needs to be on board with it, so on.
I'm gonna say something else here. The things that you deem important, sadly for you, are not important for other people in the organization. And that's okay, because those folks are worried about other things, and they don't care about things like how well crafted your GitHub issue is, or how brilliant your bug fix is, or the fact that you closed so many PRs, for example. Those metrics don't matter. What matters to them is how is it going to help me in the future? And so not only do you need to make sure that you continue those relationships, but you have to answer the question why it matters to them in those conversations as well. Hey, we're shipping a new feature. If, say, I'm talking to sales, it's going to allow you to sell more copies of our software. Or talking to legal, hey, we're shipping a new feature that has PII implications. Let's chat about that. Or I'm talking to marketing. Hey, this is a really cool feature that a lot of developers are going to care about. We want you to promote it. Put it on social. Write a blog post. Those things matter.
Never be invisible.
Yes. Very good.
It's a hard one to argue with.
No. And I mean, you have opportunities out there to be visible. Doing a show like this, for example, writing a blog post, even internal channels. There's the whole concept of evangelism or advocacy. Think of it as being internal advocacy. So you should, if you have a Slack or you have a Teams account, you should be posting to other channels and saying, hey, we've got this cool feature. I recorded this 1-minute video for you. You can watch on your own time. Here it is. And that improves your visibility. Visibility is super, super important.
I think this one is just kind of reinforcing what we've been saying. So
Yes.
build and maintain a network of people in your field outside your company you currently work for. If you do this, then these other things will follow.
The reason why
That's
this
my
one's
opinion.
important is because you can't always control, like to the point that you just made about jobs, right? That graph that you showed. People are getting laid off, unfortunately, in our industry. It's happening. You're seeing layoffs across a variety of companies all the time. And by curating your connections, your networking, it's like tending to a garden. If you don't tend your garden, the weeds overgrow, and then you come back to it after a year and you're like, oh my God, look at the job that I have to do to maintain this thing now. Whereas if you just do a little bit of gardening every day, it's not such a big job. The same thing with your networks. Same thing with how you communicate with people. Put it on your daily schedule just to reach out to folks outside. Hey, I'm going to talk to Ed on a weekly basis as part of a show. Allows me to stay in contact with him, get a sense of what's happening at Telerik. Or I talk to, Joe down the street who is also in tech. I'm keeping my contact points always hot, so to speak, so that when I go to them and if I get laid off, I go to them. They're not just like, oh, you're just coming to me because you got laid off. You're looking for anything, right now. So
Yeah.
It's not just about the job, but it's about other things as well.
Yeah, and news travels through these networks really fast too. So like if you do need a job, let's go with that example still. It's like I may not have one, but my network, I have 10 people that I can ask, I know this person, I highly recommend. Do you guys have something open? And then, the same thing goes for, let's see, I've got, I was working on some machine learning stuff the other day, and I reached out to somebody that I know that does machine learning work, and I was like, have you ever run into this problem, and how do you write visualizations for this type of, situation? I'm not the expert here. What do you think? And then got feedback on something that I was researching and just could not find the answer I wanted to hear. Let's see. Be willing.
Go outside your comfort zone.
Yeah. Chase the adventure and interestingness, not the salary and title.
Yes.
That's a tough one.
Developers
pay the
are
bills
inquisitive.
first.
They're creative. Yeah, I know, but it's a creative endeavor, software development. As much as people want to fight that, I think it's a combination of art and science, software development. So
yeah, it's definitely a combination of many things. I think you're on the right track with that. But don't go swing for a big salary necessarily if it's a job you don't like. But of course, keep in mind also that you should always have your needs met, and then if you can find something you enjoy on top of that, that's always a plus. So like I enjoy the job that I do here, but it wasn't something that was easy to come by. So like I did a lot of they used to call it evangelism, but advocacy if you want to call it that,
Yep.
for free for quite a while, just because I was working, in 9 to 5, and then I would go do meetups and I'd go to conferences and stuff on my own
Yep.
dime. So it may not happen right away, but if I guess chase is the okay word. If you chase after it long enough, you'll find it. Challenge yourself to stretch past your natural tendencies.
Work on your
Getting,
weaknesses, I guess, to a certain extent.
yeah. Understand that different social classes have different ideas about how the world works.
Yep.
That's definitely an interesting one.
Yeah, there's a tendency, I think, amongst developers to think they're the smartest people. And that's not often the case. I've met many folks.
Saying I'm not?
No, you're not, Ed. Sorry.
Wait a
Neither
minute.
am I. I'm
Wait a
an
minute,
idiot. No. I mean, I've met some rock star smart people
Yeah.
who are in fields of work that you would not normally associate with being the most intelligent people. And I know that sounds really bad, but I mean, I've just been blown away by some of the intelligence of people outside of my industry. It's incredible.
Yeah. I've seen the opposite as well. So I've run into people that think they are not smart enough to be developers.
Oh, yeah.
And I've actually run into somebody before that was like working at a big box store and like was writing code as a hobby, and it was like,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know more than
Yeah.
most entry level developers know.
The
Like,
smartest
why are you
developers I've
doing
ever
this?
worked with don't have a computer science degree. Like the
Yeah.
smartest engineer I ever worked with was an English major out of university. He's like, yeah, I just picked up programming just because I liked it, and he was a rock star. He was awesome. And I'm like, yeah.
Yeah, this was an actual real thing that happened, and friends within my network took this person and coached them into their first gig and got them out of the it was like one of the big box, like,
Yeah.
Walmart-y type things
Yeah.
that they were doing. It was like, this is so, like, you could be doing so much more with what you want. Like this one up here said, like, chase the adventure. Like, you could be doing that. You really want to do this, and you don't think you're smart enough, and you are. So let's see. When you deliver work you're really proud of, you're almost certainly done. You've almost certainly done too much and taken too long. All right, guilty, I guess,
Yes.
on all accounts. This is, I always do this. I don't know if I can fix this one. I'm too old to fix that one. It's baked in. It's a feature now. I don't know. The software we're building right now will one day be decommissioned and not used anymore. Probably before your career is over. This has happened to me a million times. It doesn't bother me at all.
Nope.
So,
I'm actually it's the opposite of this that I'm amazed by. I'm like, wow, I wrote that so long ago and still being used. I can't believe it.
yeah, when I left my last job, I just assumed, like, as soon as I left, it would all go away.
Just the flamethrower burn it all down.
It was like, I was a sole developer there. They're gonna have to farm this out to somebody else that wants to do it, and it's probably just gonna get ate up by some other system that we have. So yeah, that happens. No clever segues here.
No.
I always like to throw a little bit of AR VR stuff in the show. Meta has released the roadmap throughout 2027. So good news, John. The VR
Great.
AR stuff is not going anywhere. It's not going away. It's only going to happen more. So they have on the roadmap the Quest 4, the Quest 4, what would be probably a Lite or S version, and a Quest Pro, which they're still trying to tackle the enterprise market with. So those are in the works. And then there is also more being done on the AR glasses. So they are trying to find that, it says up there, Holy Grail device. I guess you could say that's a good name for it. There they are. That's the imagery I was looking for. Like the Ray-Ban sunglasses, but with an AR experience in them. So they want to basically have the next smartphone or smartwatch type of device. So we'll see where that goes. They're looking at something that they have been trying to develop and plan to release around 2027. So this is a long running business opportunity for them. A business unlike anything we've ever seen on mobile phones before. So they're also looking at AR
Prove it.
advertising.
Prove it.
You know,
Sorry.
Meta's, I think they have to do this. This is their bread and butter, right? They've been losing money hand over fist on VR stuff, and they know how to make money on ads. It's what they do. So AR ads, they're talking about it, and this is probably not only in the works, but also a little PR to make sure their stock doesn't take a hit. So the timeline is out there, the roadmap is there. AR VR stuff is here to stay, John, and that's all I've got for the week. That's
Good.
it. I wish I had some epic triggering AR VR thing like a guy
Believe me, I'm
bird
always
simulating
triggered.
or something, but
I was reffing hockey last night, and the guys are like, "You don't like that?" I was calling penalties on this one guy, and he's like, "You don't like him very much." I'm like, "That's the secret. I don't like any of you. Like, you guys think I like some of you? That's why I ref."
oh man,
Nothing triggers me, Ed. Don't worry. I'm always triggered.
I don't want to say nothing. Oh, okay, there we go. You're always triggered. That works for me. All right. It's been fun as usual, John. Any last minute parting words for the audience?
No, not really. I mean, we've got just a couple events just to let folks know. GitHub Universe is coming up in late October, just to let folks know we'll be there.
Nice.
And also KubeCon North America, which is in November, we'll be there as well. So hope to see you there.
You say are you traveling for those?
Octopus will be there in force, yes.
Okay. All right, guys. See you next week. And thanks again, John.